Welcome to the Tech Talks Daily Podcast, where you can learn and be inspired by real-world examples of how technology is transforming businesses and reshaping industries in a language everyone can understand. Here is your host, Neil C. Hughes.
Welcome back to the Tech Talks Daily Podcast, where you caught me on a good day. I must admit, I've reached the age where a 20-minute power nap in the afternoon in my armchair actually feels like a complete reboot, and I wake up fully recharged after I wiped the sleep drool away from my mouth and genuinely feel quite excitable again. That's the secret to my boundless amounts of energy. But you should have seen me 10 minutes ago, let me tell you. But the fact I have so many great guests coming on here with their inspiring stories of how they're using technology to solve real problems does make my job and life much easier. And today, for example, this is my fourth podcast recording of the day, which I think should put me around 10 days ahead and 7 podcasts booked in until the end of the year. In fact, January is already booking up quite quickly. So if anybody listening does want to come on the show, please email me, techblogwriter@outlook.com, and do it sooner rather than later, and I'll try and get you on here. But today, I want to talk with Jeff White, who is the co-founder of Kula Partners and developer of Synchrostack. Not to mention the host of the Kula Ring podcast too. And I invited him on here today to provide some real-world examples of how technology is transforming businesses and reshaping industries, especially in the international manufacturing sector. But enough from me. Put on your coat because we're going on a trip to Canada so we can speak with Jeff White, who is waiting to share how he's leveraging technology with his manufacturing clients and how he's helping them overcome challenges with emerging technology. So a massive warm welcome to the show, Jeff. Can you tell the listeners a little more about who you are and what you do?
Sure. So my name is Jeff White. I am the co-founder of a marketing agency called Kula Partners that serves B2B manufacturers, mostly in North America. I'm also the co-host of a podcast called The Kula Ring, which seeks to interview manufacturing marketers at those kinds of companies that we're interested in talking to. And I lead the design and UX practice here at Kula. I'm originally a classically trained graphic designer turned web designer, and but now I'm mostly just a sales guy. So.
You say just a sales guy, but I mean, yeah. I thought I was busy. But as the co-founder of Kula Partners, the developer of Synchrostack, and a podcast host, so I think you're a little bit more than just a sales guy. But where did your passion for technology come from? Because I get the feeling there's got to be a bit of a story here that inspired you to start these companies.
Yeah, for sure. And like I just mentioned, it all kind of started for me from a design perspective. I was lucky to go to art and design school in the 90s, just as the web was becoming a thing. And so kind of built my first website in 1994 for a class project and just fell in love with the idea of, creating these systems and design systems that just went beyond, what we were able to do with print. So I started the web design agency that became Kula in 2004. It was a week after my first daughter was born, and I got laid off from the agency I was working at. And I was like, you know what? I'm not going to work for anybody else ever again. And so that was 16 years ago now, and never really looked back. Kula became a thing about 10 years ago when my current business partner and I decided to join forces. So he came on, and we renamed the web design company I had to Kula. And, we had met on Twitter and had done a few projects together, realized that we got on pretty well. So he's a strategic marketer. And like I say, I'm more of a tech web design guy. And we've just kind of grown it into this fun little business that we have here on the East Coast of Canada.
Cool. And correct me if I'm wrong, but my understanding is that Kula Partners is an agency that helps B2B manufacturers digitally engage buyers, serve customers, and outsource their competition online. And outside of that, Synchrostack enables organizations using WooCommerce to integrate their online store to any other system in their business. But can you expand a little on the kind of problems that you set out to solve?
For sure. So Synchrostack is a product that we sell here at Kula, and it came out of our design and development practice, really. I mean, it's not the first tool of its ilk that we've built over the years. We generally do very complex web development projects where we're integrating a lot of different technology stacks. So, these days, a website is more than just the content management system. It may also have e-commerce, and then that needs to talk to your marketing automation platform, which needs to feed to your CRM. And if you're a manufacturer, especially, you probably have some form of back office software like an ERP, and all of these different things need to talk to each other and integrate. And that's where Synchrostack came into being. So we saw a need to be able to shuttle data back and forth between these platforms so that no matter who was looking at them, they would have the most recent customer information, most up-to-date inventory information. So your outside sales teams know, what's available. Your marketing team knows who bought what, so they can form really custom and performance-oriented marketing campaigns. And that kind of single view of customer across all of these different disparate platforms is what led to the development of the Synchrostack tool. But and that's all kind of part and parcel of what we do, I guess, as an agency every day. Is we're working with these B2B manufacturers to help them understand who their customers are, develop strategic marketing programs for them, and then layer in the technical solutions to help power it.
And on this Daily Tech podcast, what I try to do is provide real-world examples for everybody listening of how technology is transforming businesses, reshaping industries, and hopefully leave people with a few takeaways that they can take back to their own business too. So can I ask that you share how you're actually leveraging technology with your manufacturing clients and how you're actually helping them overcome real-world challenges with these emerging technologies?
Sure. Yeah, I'm happy to provide an example there. So we work with one of the major tire manufacturers here in North America, Bridgestone, and they have a division that actually produces software for tire dealers. So it's a B2B sale from a software perspective that helps their dealer network integrate and sell better to their customers, right? So that software allows the dealers to look up, what tires fit what vehicle. They can source them from their ERP system, and then they can provide that service on their own website to their customers so that they can sell online and fulfill e-commerce orders. So we helped work with them on both the UX and the design of that platform, as well as the marketing that goes with it. And one of the things that we discovered after working with them for a while is that paid search works really, really well in that industry, but a lot of that dealer network doesn't understand how to do it. These are, 1 and 2 location tire shops, maybe. Sometimes they might have a few dozen locations, but, they don't necessarily have a marketing person on staff or someone who can help them be successful in their own communities. So what we worked on was a platform for the dealers that they were working with to be able to manage a customized pay-per-click advertising system that drove back to the Tire Connect platform, so that people could find their tires online and order them and go and pick them up in the store. We built a whole system in the back end that allows our client to manage all of their dealer relationships, and also enables those people to run high-performing PPC campaigns that kind of spin back into the platform and integrate a whole marketing system that they simply didn't have before. So we develop a lot of kind of custom marketing solutions like that help people connect better with their dealer systems, and especially in the manufacturing space. It is largely a manufacturer who has distributors and dealers, and then individual kind of consumer buyers. So there's a whole bunch of different layers to that, and we try and help at the higher end where the manufacturers interface with their dealers and distributors.
And I'm curious, as someone that's right in the heart of this industry, helping B2B manufacturing craft digital experience, have you actually encountered any resistance to change in a very traditional industry such as manufacturing, or are most actually accepting that they need to change and embrace technology now?
I think that for the most part, they do get that they need to be embracing this technology. They've seen what it can do. I mean, we're 25 years into the web as it exists today, and it certainly is the case that for the most part, even small businesses know they need to have some form of web presence in order to get out there. I think where it's not so much that they're resistant in the manufacturing space. We have had a number of guests on our podcast who aren't massive manufacturers, but, they might have a 20, 25, 30 person marketing team in-house, with video production, web development, all of that. And they can handle, they're a mini agency within a manufacturer to manage absolutely everything that they need to do. So I think that there are certainly a number of examples of companies that are doing it at that level. And then there are others where, it's 50 or 100-year-old family-owned business, and they're just kind of beginning to dip their toe in the water a little bit, and they've hired a marketer, and they don't know what to do next. So I think they know that they need to do something. They know that there are all of these different platforms available that they can use for it, but they probably need help in understanding how they can implement it and how they're going to track whether or not it's generating an ROI.
We've probably mentioned one already, but I'm curious, are there any other myths or misconceptions in this industry that you could finally lay to rest?
Well, I think one of the biggest myths within large B2B organizations, not even just manufacturers, is that they probably have a limited budget that they're applying to marketing. And a lot of them believe that they can hire their way to success from a marketing and sales perspective. And the trouble is that in a lot of these markets, talent is scarce. Experienced talent is even more scarce. And, if they have $100,000 budget, in somewhere in Ohio, and they want to hire a marketer to come in and solve all of their marketing problems, well, really, that's going to get them one intermediate marketer or two junior marketers. And they're not going to have the skill set to be able to execute on all of the different things that are required. They don't have user experience designers. They don't have customer experience people. They don't have content creation or marketing strategy or web development or all of these different things that kind of tie the modern marketing stack together. So as a result, they still need to outsource some of that function, but they're kind of going into it thinking that, if I just hire one of the kids that understands Twitter, they'll be able to solve all of my marketing issues. And it's just not the case. There's a much more strategic level of thinking that needs to be applied to that.
And for anybody listening that would like to find out how, or help them visualize and understand how this would work in their industry or their business, do you have any examples or use cases that you can share where you've helped a B2B manufacturer craft these digital experiences that transforming actually how they engage their buyers, serve their customers, and outpace their competition online?
Sure. Yeah, I can give you a couple of interesting little examples. One of them is a manufacturer that we work with that creates different products for the agriculture industry. There are different types of feed and hydration and other products for poultry and other farm animals like that. But they also service the veterinary industry and the research industry, who are two very different groups. So they came to us with a need for a new website that was going to have an e-commerce component. And the big thing about the e-com component was that it had to address these sort of small lot orders that the veterinarians and researchers required. They were very different from the large pallets and truckloads of material that were being sent to farmers and people in the agricultural industry. So we created a whole e-com platform that integrated WooCommerce with HubSpot for marketing automation and CRM, and tied that down to an ERP application that they had for years. And I'm not 100% sure, but I think this actually ran on a computer under the desk of the bookkeeper that was in their office, so not exactly web enabled with lots of APIs to tie into and all of that. But we managed to integrate those different platforms, and it was amazing. Even the first day that we stood it up, they began generating tons of sales with it. The proper data was getting to the right people in the warehouse. The sales team had their information about what these small lot orders were doing, and then they were able to pull all of that data into HubSpot to run customized campaigns and content marketing on the site itself. So, really kind of taking an organization that previously just had a marketer and some outside salespeople and a very small internal team, and leveraging technology to allow them to improve the efficiency of their operation, increase the sale, improve the customer experience on the ordering end for all of the people, because they used to, they would sell to universities that had 10 or 15 different departments that were all ordering this for different reasons, and they never had any single place to be able to find the information about all of those buyers. So this tightened up the whole operation. Another small example that we've worked with a manufacturer and their distribution system for residential heat pumps, actually. And we developed online cost calculators and dealer booking software and other top-of-funnel lead generation programs for them that allowed them to target their individual customers, capture that lead information, and then we built a dealer backend, a dashboard that would allow the organization to see whether or not the dealers had responded to or closed those deals. So it provided dealer accountability and all of that within there. And pretty interesting. It completely changed and elevated the amount of deals that they were doing in the run of a year. Just completely revolutionized their business and gave them much better visibility into what their dealer network was doing.
And if we do have any manufacturers listening to this podcast today, anywhere in the world, and they're looking to digitally transform their business, is there any advice that you would offer?
Well, I think that there's a really interesting thing that's kind of happening, especially with larger B2B manufacturers. And we see this every week with the people we interview on our podcast and with the clients that we have, is that they're starting to realize that, especially when within niche or niche, depending on where you are in the world, manufacturers, some of them may only have 10 possible customers that they can sell to. Some might have 50, some might have 100, and yet they still don't have a really good grasp on that target client profile and the individual personas within that client who are buying from them. We know from the research that Gartner's putting out there and others that, these buying committees, especially in a large B2B sale, could be 8, 10, sometimes as many as 13 different people involved in a purchase. And yet, the sales team still doesn't have that knowledge about what's going on within those target accounts. So I think that this is one of the things that is really going to come into focus in the next 4 or 5 years, and even sooner with a lot of very aggressive manufacturers and B2B marketers, is that they're going to have to get a grasp on who their target client profiles are and who the personas are within those organizations, and then leverage software like Terminus and LinkedIn and other tools like that to be able to target messages directly into and provide very helpful content to all the different people that are within those buying committees so that they can help to influence that sale. And I really think what you're going to see is that marketers are going to be playing a much more integrated role with the sales teams that they help serve, and it may finally actually bring marketing and sales teams closer together, seeing the value that each can provide the other. I think that's really going to help to revolutionize marketing in B2B especially, and I know with the manufacturers that we work with, it certainly does. And all of that is going to help drive the metrics up to the CEO and the others in the executive team to be able to see the effectiveness of their marketing spend. It's going to be a pretty interesting space very soon.
And it sounds like it's going to be an incredibly busy year for you again in 2020. But what excites you about the future, and how are you going to continue to leverage technology to solve these real world problems? I understand you probably only so much you can share with me today, but is there anything else that you can leave us with before you go?
Well, I think that what I was just speaking about, the rise of account-based marketing and ABM and different platforms that help serve that are really going to become the new marketing. I think there's a bit of a myth out there that there's and in a lot of ways SaaS has kind of driven this idea that there's an unlimited top of funnel, that if we just write more blog posts and put up more social posts, that there's just an unlimited number of leads we can drive into our funnel. And I think it really is the case that no, what we need to do is get much more focused about who it is that we're looking to sell to. We need to really understand who those people are, and we need to craft the messages that are going to provide assistance to them so that they can truly get value out of that process early on, and that this kind of spray and pray approach is going to start to go away with a much deeper focus on a more integrated and customized marketing specifically to the people that we're looking to sell to.
And for anyone listening that would like to stay in touch with you guys, find out more information about the kind of work that you're doing, and of course, subscribe to your podcast, can you just point them in the direction of how they can do all those things?
Absolutely. So all of that information is available on our site, link to our podcast and Synchrostack and all the other things we've been up to. And that's kulapartners.com, KULAPARTNERS.com.
Fantastic. Well, I cannot thank you enough for coming on today and just talking a little about how you're leveraging technology within manufacturing and helping people overcome real world challenges with emerging technologies. It's such a valuable story that you've shared today, and also those real world solutions that you've provided as well. And I cannot thank you enough for coming on. So thanks again.
Thank you very much, Neil, for having me.
I love the story of how Kula Partners are helping B2B manufacturers actually digitally engage buyers, serve their customers, and outsource their competition online. And equally, of course, Synchrostack is enabling organisations using WooCommerce to integrate their online stores to almost any other system in their business. But at the heart of it all was Jeff's very human story. And I cannot thank Jeff enough for taking the time out of his day in Canada to come and speak with us all. But you know the drill. Now it's time for the virtual mic to come your way. Please email me, techblogwriter@outlook.com, tweet me, DM me on LinkedIn, Instagram, or by just looking for me at Neil C. Hughes. But that also means that we've reached the end of another podcast. Everybody, but have no fear. I'm back, same time, same place tomorrow. I'll be beamed directly into your earballs. I'm going to be the soundtrack to your morning, evening, afternoon, whatever it is. In fact, please let me know. I'd love to know where you listen and what your routine is in the morning. Not just with this podcast, with any podcast. It'd be lovely to get to know you all a little bit better. But I don't want to outstay my welcome, so I'll bid you farewell and say thanks for listening. And until next time, don't be a stranger.
Thank you for listening to the Tech Talks Daily Podcast with Neil C. Hughes. Remember, technology works best when it brings people together.